afternoon. My name is Timothy Barry. The jurisdiction of the Commonwealth Court is essentially public, and I have spent 37 years practicing law in Allegheny County in the public sector. I have served as municipal solicitor. I have negotiated hundreds and hundreds of labor contracts involving police, firemen, and public works. I am involved with the Financially Distressed Municipalities Act throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, including Scranton, Harrisburg, Farrell, Newcastle, Aliquippa, and many more. I am endorsed by the PSCA, the Carpenters Union of Pennsylvania. I am highly recommended by the Allegheny County Bar Association and recommended by the Pennsylvania Bar Association, which said this about me. Timothy Barry has demonstrated a strong work ethic, professionalism, and fairness in his interactions with clients and colleagues. The candidate is known for his integrity, knowledge of the law, and his competence. I can't believe they said that about me while I'm still alive.
Mr. Gray, thank you. Same question. Why do you want to serve on Commonwealth?
My entire career has been in the public sector, which is the jurisdiction essentially of the Commonwealth Court. And I have always aspired to be a Commonwealth Court judge, but I never thought I would run. I went to the courthouse in Harrisburg 18 months ago, and I saw the portrait of my father, who was a judge on the Commonwealth Court. And I looked at it and I said, okay, Dad, I'll run. And I'm really glad. It's very exciting to be running for public office at this time. There's so much going on. Everyone's paying attention. I think, in essence, at this point in my career, the best way I can give back to the people is to go to the Commonwealth Court. So I'm really glad that I'm running, and hope for the best on May 16th. Again, my whole career has been in the public sector, but I actually think I bring a little bit more to the table than that. As Judge Cosgrove spoke, the Commonwealth Court has original jurisdiction. I have considerable trial experience for a municipal labor attorney. I've had a lot of jury trial experience. This, I think, will be very important. I'm very interested in the original jurisdiction of the Commonwealth Court, and I believe that will also help me as a judge. I had also considerable experience with public sector, education law, and school law, which clearly is the jurisdiction of the Commonwealth Court. So I bring all that to the table, really, the Commonwealth Court's jurisdiction, I believe, it is such that you have to have a combination of all those skills in order to be a good judge. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Barry.
Thank you. I am very interested in the original trial jurisdiction of the Commonwealth Court, and that would be, for example, the kind of case where if you had a lawsuit against the Department of Education and a claim, let's say, against the Department of Education, that would actually get tried in the Commonwealth Court as a trial would be tried in the Court of Common Pleas of the various counties. And that original jurisdiction, I think, can be made somewhat better by looking at the procedures and improving upon them. So that's what I would like to personally get involved with. I would be very interested in presiding over trials in the Commonwealth Court. I think in order for a judge to ensure fairness, the only way that a judge can do that is personally. And I have a disabled son. That has made me a much stronger person, and has certainly made me more patient and certainly more empathetic toward people with disabilities. But it makes me more empathetic to everyone. Makes me understand how important it is to listen to people. And that's how I think you ensure fairness to everyone, by doing your part and being patient. Thank you. Most of the people that contribute to a judge's campaign are lawyers. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with the lawyer saying that I think that this person will be a good judge. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And certainly, again, we have judicial canons of ethics which already address the situation. But lawyers, I believe, can contribute to a judge's campaign without there being a problem. My personal view, which has always kept me out of trouble, is that if I even think I have a conflict, then I probably should recuse myself. Because if that thought even comes into my head, then there must be some reason why I believe that that it would be better for all concerned that I would recuse myself because of the appearance of impropriety or conflict. As I said, I've had many cases before the Commonwealth Court, very interesting cases involving cases of first impression. The one case was whether home rule municipalities in Pennsylvania, whether the state pension laws apply to home rule municipalities. That's the kind of case that goes to the jurisdiction of the Commonwealth Court. And the court ruled in my favor that the pension laws do apply to home rule municipalities. I've also litigated cases involving the legality of cyber charter schools, which of course is a big issue. That's again a good example of the kind of case that will go to the Commonwealth Court. I also have been involved with financially distressed municipalities, and that case has gone to the Commonwealth Court twice concerning the legality and constitutionality of the Financially Distressed Municipalities Act, whether or not that conflicts with Act 111, which is the state law that deals with police and firemen bargaining rights, whether that state law for financially distressed municipalities supersedes that act. And again, that was a constitutional issue, so I think those are all very interesting cases. I'm going to take a slightly different approach to this question, perhaps a dissenting opinion. I actually believe that the Commonwealth Court is very well run. It's been regarded as being one of the best courts for a long, long time, dating back to my father in the 80s and early 90s. And I'm proud of that. I have had numerous cases before the Commonwealth Court. If a decision has precedential value, it gets published. The only time that a decision does not get published, in which case it does not have precedential value, is when it's essentially a case that does not involve an important public issue, and the court sees no reason to waste paper with the publication of that decision. I don't really have a problem with that. I think the Commonwealth Court actually does a pretty good job administering that whole process. So, and again, I have had numerous cases before the Commonwealth Court, and certainly some significant cases that certainly were published. And I think that is the value of publishing an opinion, is if it does have precedential value, then it should be published. Thank you. I'm very proud of the hiring decisions that I've personally made during my life, where I have hired a considerable number of lawyers who are women and minority women. And quite frankly, it's just the way I was brought up. I'm very proud of the way I was brought up. I come from a family of 8 children, 4 boys, 4 girls, of course. And, you know, that's just the way it was. And my parents both, they raised us to respect people and certainly respect human rights and civil rights. 18 months ago, in August of 2015, I represented a waitress in a Title VII sexual harassment lawsuit in federal court in Pittsburgh, in the Western District. And the jury returned a verdict in her favor. That's all I'm allowed to say about that case because of a confidentiality stipulation, which is probably good because I talk about it for quite some time. So we'll let it go at that. But listen to what I just said. Timothy Berry, sexual harassment, Title VII lawsuit. It's out there. And that case was all about respect for women. And that case was all about women's rights. I believe that the standard for reviewing those cases is pretty well established. Whether there's substantial evidence to support the findings and conclusions of law of the state agency, the court would review that to see if there was an error of law or if there was an abuse of discretion. And I believe that the standard is already, again, pretty well established. And the court normally will give some deference to the decisions of a state agency, but I think that's rather limited. Certainly in areas such as environmental issues, as far as I'm concerned, a court should give very little deference to decisions and should independently review environmental issues to make sure that not only the law is being complied with, but our Constitution. And there's other examples of that. I think whenever you have a constitutional issue, and the Pennsylvania Constitution, interestingly enough, has a lot of the same provisions as the federal Constitution. But there are a lot of things in the Pennsylvania Constitution which I am very familiar with that are not in the federal Constitution. And you really have to pay attention to those. And there should not be any deference in those areas. Thank you. I've already told you about my qualifications and experience, and I believe that there aren't too many attorneys in Pennsylvania who have my municipal experience, my public sector labor and employment experience, my experience negotiating hundreds of labor contracts, my financially distressed municipalities experience. And the other thing that I have done in the last 5 years, which I did not tell you about, is I am a labor arbitrator, which has certainly given me experience dealing with deciding cases and being neutral as opposed to an advocate, which I think is quite different. And it's taught me patience. The reason why I would vote for me and the reason I will vote for me is because of my life experiences. I've already told you about my mentally disabled son. That has made me a much better person. I can't compare myself to other people, but I can certainly compare myself to the way I used to be before that happened to my son. And I can just tell you that I'm a much stronger, more patient, and understanding person than I used to be. And I really think that those qualifications and the temperament to be a good patient judge, that I have those qualities. Thank you very much to everyone. I really enjoyed this presentation, and I think I've told you enough about myself, so I'm just going to tell you a little story. I just think it's an interesting story. In 1983, my father ran for the Commonwealth Court, and on St. Patrick's Day in 1983, somebody picked for him the #1 ballot position for the Democratic Party. This year, they were supposed to pick the ballots on March 15th. And I was actually here in Philadelphia at the time, but the snowstorm hit. And they moved it from March 15th to March 17th. And they picked the ballots on St. Patrick's Day. Guess who got the #1 ballot position? So I give my dad credit for that one. That's all I got. Thank you very much.
And last thing.